Well, we are very fortunate today to have with us three dynamic and effective change makers for United Way of Clallam County, and they are Christy Smith, Minnie Whalen, and Rachel Hardees. Today, they will tell us about how they have reframed our United Way, coalesced and brought together most of the service providers in Clallam County to communicate and work together, and to speak to individual and community health, balance, and social engagement. So Christy has worked in the nonprofit sector for 25 years, and she's been with United Way since 2016, currently as CEO. She and her husband have 3 adult children who live in Tennessee and Texas. And when not at work, she enjoys being outdoors, biking, running, and looking for adventures around the Greater Olympic Peninsula. Minnie's career has been built upon service to her community, along with learning and teaching in venues such as public schools, including the Clallam County Juvenile Detention School, private nonprofits, natural settings such as Yosemite and Olympic National Parks, and community coalitions. Minnie has worked with the Clallam Resilience Project under United Way of Clallam County for the past 3 years. In addition to working as the owner of New Growth Counseling Services, operator of Head in the Game Consulting, mental health counselor, and mental strength coach, Rachel enjoys putting her time in many places. High on her list are running or walking outside near the water or in the forest, and spending time with her family and friends. She's most inspired by being able to share what she's learned with others. And now Christy will lead off.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Laurel, for that. It's good to see so many current board members of the United Way and past board members too, and a lot of donors. So thank you so much for all of the support you give to our United Way. I'm going to start with a slideshow. I think I can share my screen. Hopefully I can get this right. All right, hopefully you're seeing something that says United Way of Clallam County. Yeah, all right. So in July of last year, our board held a strategic planning workshop. And some of the things that we discussed were directly related to our organization becoming more trauma informed. And a lot of that is really due to Minnie and her work with our Resilience Project over the last 3 years. I want to share some of the things that we worked on and the changes that we've made. So, as I said, a lot of you are involved or have been involved with the United Way, so you probably know that our mission is to strengthen the community by helping people live safe, healthy, and productive lives. Our focus is on education, financial stability, and health, which we think are the building blocks of a strong community. Our goal is to work within our community to provide leadership in meeting human service needs, to help people give, advocate, and volunteer in Clallam County, and to be a constructive voice for human service needs. So within those 3 pillars of education, financial stability, and health, we broke it down even further. And so we're focused on safe and affordable housing, which we all know is a crisis in our community right now. Some of the logos you see on the screen are the partners that we work with who provide safe and affordable housing throughout Clallam County. The second pillar that we're focused on is strong families and nurturing environments. And this is where the Resilience Project comes in. The Resilience Project is a program of the United Way, whereas these other logos that you see on the screen, organizations, they are their own nonprofits. So that's the difference between those things, but we support all of them. The third area that we're supporting is lifelong learning to ensure a strong workforce. So again, we know in Clallam County, we have higher than average unemployment rates, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure people can get trained if they wish to have a better quality of life. So we work with Peninsula College on several areas, one being the GED program, the Get It Done program, and that helps students who might be dropping out of their GED and gives them financial support where they need it. And then a new one is for the youngest members of our community, and that's the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So for $25 a year, a child can get a book in their home, one book every month in their home until they turn 5. And then we're also making sure we remain focused on community needs. So if there is a disaster or something like the pandemic, we're able to react quickly and help people when they need it most. So as a part of our strategic vision, we set priority populations that we wanted to focus on. So we are focused on helping families that live in the remote areas of Clallam County, those families who are ALICE, which means that they are asset limited, income constrained, but employed. So they have a job, but don't qualify for extra assistance. We're focused on people who come from diverse backgrounds like Native Americans, Asian and Black people. And we're focused on the underrepresented or underserved population. So people with physical, cognitive disabilities, and people who are from the LGBTQA+ community. So this slide is to show you what being trauma-informed might look like. And this is from SAMHSA. And our United Way is on a journey. We're in the awareness phases right now. We're learning about it. We're becoming more sensitive to being trauma-informed. And then we hope to respond. And I think in some ways we are, and we do respond to people who need us, and we're more informed. So I'm going to share a few specific examples of what we're doing with our staff and our internal practices as it relates to our partner agencies. One of the things that we did was that we posted publicly a definition of equity on our website and a vision so that people understand that we stand against racism. We also on our website included a solidarity statement so that we're sharing with people that we understand that we live and work on lands that aren't ours, that they belong to the tribes of Clallam County. And we are hiring a person who will help us continue to learn more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she's actually going to be on board with us next month. Those are some of the things that we talked about and that we did as a result of our strategic planning. So this is also from SAMHSA, and it's a way that you can act or think about being more trauma informed. So making sure that you feel safe in any environment, that the people you work with or maybe the agencies that you volunteer with feel safe, that they can trust you, that they have peer support, that you're collaborating with people instead of doing for them, that you're giving them choice or empowerment, and you're always including cultural and historical and gender references. So this work came a lot from the United Way of Greater Philadelphia, and they did a white paper, as you may call it, about trauma-informed philanthropy. And so some of the things that would be included in that are reducing the requirements for grant making, making it easier for agencies that are already struggling to get the funds that they need. And one way that we did that at the United Way of Clallam County is during COVID, we had rolling grant applications. So instead of there being a lengthy process to get help right away, they were able to apply for funds and we were able to grant them within a week's time. And so the board worked really hard. We met weekly. We had Zoom calls every single week to make decisions. And that was really cool for us to see how much we could help people quickly and change some of the ways we were doing things, but still know that we were making an impact. So another way that our United Way has changed policy internally is to support our staff members in their wellness. And so each month we have a $50 reimbursable wellness opportunity for people. So if I wanted to pay for a membership to the gym, but I couldn't afford it, I could be reimbursed as a part of my package, benefits package. Also, we let people work from home, like Minnie, and we try to do as much as we can to be supportive to create that environment of trust. So this slide is talking about grant making specifically, and I wanted to share it with you so that you could think about it in reference to maybe some other organizations that you volunteer with. Are you removing as many barriers as possible to make it easier for people to get the things that they need to be successful in life? Again, these are more questions that you might ask yourself in the place that you work or possibly with the organization you volunteer with. Are you prioritizing the health of the staff who work there or the staff that maybe you supervise? Are you working with identified populations, or how could you do more of that? How can you include them more in your board or in your organization? These are all questions that we asked our partners and that we're asking other people to think about as well. So that was a quick sort of overview of what we did and how we're working to change the way that our United Way works. I don't know if we want to ask questions now or after Minnie and others speak.
Yeah, I think we can just continue on and we can ask questions to all three of you at the very end, if that works.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Laurel. Thanks, Jonna. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to present to all of you today about the Clallam Resilience Project. It's been a journey. We came presented a while ago, but we've done a bunch of things since then. So I'm going to pick up a little bit where Christy had intersected about the Clallam Resilience Project, and then sort of give you an opportunity to sort of see what's happening on an individual level. And that's what Rachel's going to show after I'm done. So briefly, the Clallam Resilience Project, I'm going to talk a little bit again about our purpose and scope. I'm going to introduce 4 projects to you so that you can potentially think about how or why they're important to our community, and then raise a few questions for you to think about in terms of discussion as a service organization. So again, thank you for having us. Thank you for supporting our community. The service that you provide is so meaningful, and on an individual level, and thinking about how you're taking care of Rotary members, but then also throughout our community, we see the ripple effects. So we appreciate that and listening to us today. The Clallam Resilience Project is a consortium. So we're a group of over 50 organizations working together to foster resilience. And we do that on a number of different levels. We use 2 types of science, like the near sciences, which is neuroscience, epigenetics, adverse childhood experiences, and resilience. And we're thinking about how to connect, learn, and educate around trauma-sensitive care, like Christy had mentioned, countywide. And we've been operating out of United Way. And so our vision is to foster a resilient Clallam County. And we basically do that through 3 buckets: through providing education to people, models like how Christy's United Way is operating. We do that through providing skills and collaboration, and Rachel will be showing some like individual skills. And then the idea of care and wellness, how to create opportunities, and I'll present a bunch of those through this presentation. We have a number of different partners. Anyone's welcome to join. We're open to the public. It is across the county, it is across the lifespan, and it is across sector. So justice, education, social services, health. We welcome any and all who help people to join. Business. So originally our work centered around this idea of an ACE study that happened in the 90s, where people were talking about 3 different types of adversity. And so they were looking at abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, and its effects on humans when they're little. And what they found is that there are negative lifelong outcomes, and that those affect our health, physical health, it affects our mental health, and it affects our lifelong behaviors and our potential in life. So these have a dose-response relationship between what happens when you're young and what happens throughout the rest of your life. And so why that might be especially interesting is that it has long-lasting public health effects for our community. And so if this is something that you're particularly interested in, this is the presentation that I gave a couple of years ago. We are offering in-depth 45-minute presentation about this later this month, and I'll give you that information. But as this study expanded since the 90s, people have found that it's not only what happens to you in your childhood, right? It's how your community develops. So things like poverty, things like racism, things like housing, all those have effect on those lifelong outcomes as well, and people's health. And so this is something from the CDC where people are saying it's right, not only these social conditions and the adverse effects, but also things like generational embodiment, intergenerational trauma, historical trauma, all lead to physical, neurological, social effects that potentially shorten people's lifespan and affect our community on an individual level, shorten people's lifespan, but on a community level, really affect how our communities operate, who we serve, and how we serve them. And this is happening in Clallam. We have a higher than state average rate of domestic violence, child abuse, and neglect. 1 in 3 adults said that they had experienced these adversities as a child. And so again, this is the opportunity that I'm going to share with you, one of them, for you to join in and learn more. Understanding the context, the science behind this is part of the initial purpose of sharing our knowledge. So then what are we doing other than sharing our knowledge? Well, we're thinking about realizing what trauma is, recognizing trauma in people, responding to that trauma, and then resisting re-traumatization. We're doing that on all these different levels, right? Christy was talking about it on an organizational level, like the policy changes that United Way is making, and how that has a ripple effect on our community. Rachel will be giving specific examples about on an individual level, how to respond to our neurobiological systems. We found this to be especially important during the pandemic. People have an urgent need for people to respond and provide education and outreach about building resilience on an individual level in terms of our workforce and in terms of our community. So we did. We had geared trainings and supports for individual agencies or organizations. We're using a number of different curriculums, and we're bringing in a bunch of different experts. And so an example of that is Wellness Wednesday, where maybe Carmen even could speak to some of this as well. We have included all of the Clallam County public schools and invited them to a series of embedded voluntary trainings during their workday. And this was happening last spring, where they were learning about wellness and try to increase and support their well-being as educators and people who provided support as frontline service. Another opportunity that I want to present to you that's coming up is something called a Financial Aid Navigator. And so this is a regional effort that is across Kitsap, Clallam, and Jefferson, where people are supporting individuals who are interested in completing higher education. So when somebody doesn't know how to apply for financial aid, that is a barrier in terms of their development. We want to create a community, a network of navigators who can help people apply for financial aid. And so whether those are coaches, people in faith-based, people in agencies, or service clubs like yourself, you might be the people who have direct contact with youth and might say, let me help you with the FAFSA. And so this is an opportunity to learn how to do that. Another opportunity that we're doing every month is a community meeting. And so not only is our content directed towards trauma-sensitive education, but also our format is, we have predictable formats. We are creating an opportunity for people to talk and build community resilience in a Zoom meeting, much like I think you did at the beginning of your meeting as well, and have as an ongoing opportunity for people to come in and present. So our April 5th meeting is highlighting Deborah Swanson from the Olympic Communities of Health. She'll be talking about becoming a recovery-friendly region and transforming stigma around substance use disorder. What we found is that people are really receptive to these meetings. Our attendance has tripled in the past couple of years. People are not only receptive to coming to the meetings, but then also to watching the meetings. And so we post them on our YouTube site and have found that we have gotten over 400 views in 2021. So people can access them. We also found that it's a cross sector of people who are, again, accessing it, whether it's justice, healthcare, tribal nations, or caring community members. And then the last opportunity that I want to offer to you today is that in October, we have Resilience Month. We have public proclamations, we have public trainings, but we also are producing, along with partners, kits to be distributed. So Knowles has been our chief operating distribution center for these kits. And if there are things that you would like to help support in terms of resilience building, whether that's fiscal or supply, we're happy to work with you to think about how can we offer these to people in October. And so again, it's not only the awareness and the context of resilience building and adversity that's important, but it's also how can we bring this knowledge to existing tables, whether it's the training that we're offering later this month, whether it's the financial aid navigator training that's happening next month, whether it's joining in community meetings or supporting Resilience Month. Those are a number of ways that people can intersect and become involved where they feel like they have the capacity to. So thank you. I look forward to your questions. Again, I appreciate your time and service, and I will pass it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Minnie.
Great, thank you. Let me share my screen. All right, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. We are going to start by taking a pause and getting our witness in play. So I invite you to take a moment to notice what is going on in your body right now. Stay as you are, let things be, and bring curiosity to what's happening in this moment, almost as though you're taking a snapshot. Observe your breath. Is it shallow? Is it full? Is it mostly high in the lungs, or is it going deep into your lungs? Describe in your mind the look on your face. What is your face doing? Is there tension or ease in your jaw and neck? What's happening in your posture? How are you holding yourself? Are your shoulders high? Are they tight? Are they slumped forward? Is your abdomen contracted or expanded? And notice what is the position of your feet. Take a moment, finish checking in. And congratulations, you've just completed your first ease key. So this is one of 9 ease keys practices by Teresa Pasacani from her 4-week self-regulation class. And you saw in Minnie's presentation, self-regulation is one of the aspects of helping people work with trauma that they've experienced. And the ease keys are all body-based practices, and they're designed to connect us to ourselves during times of stress. And also we can use these when we're feeling calm. So our bodies respond dynamically to all of our experiences and our perceptions of our experiences. And sometimes we notice those sensations, sometimes they're in our awareness, and other times maybe we're not necessarily conscious of what's happening in our body. So these ease keys are a way that we can practice self-care that helps keep us in better contact with ourselves and within our bodies, and helps let us know what's going on inside of us. So we are going to do another one. This one is called Relax Your Jaw and Find Your Ah. And we do this one because the jaw is a really common place for people to hold tension when they're stressed, or when they're uncomfortable. I sometimes notice if I'm watching a tense TV show, I'll notice my jaw get tight. And so the idea is that by relaxing jaw tension, we're creating a gateway to ease within ourselves. We're releasing tension in our neck and our chest and our abdomen. And so for many of us, a yawn or a sigh also activates the relaxation response in our body. So it's morning and we're going to start by yawning. And it doesn't matter if it's real or if it's a pretend yawn. You might even feel like yawning because we're just talking about yawning. So go ahead and let yourself yawn. And as you do this, feel the heaviness in your lower jaw and feel the weight of gravity just pulling it down. Notice the softness in your cheeks as they relax. And as you do this, breathe in, breathe out, and let yourself or sigh. Right? Finding your Yawning is good for you, right? It activates your relaxation response and it opens space in the back of your throat so that you can take a deeper breath. So let's do it again. One more breath in, let your jaw relax. Just feel that resonate through your body. Let's do it one more time. Big breath in, and maybe you want to put a stretch in there. See what your body wants to do this morning. So now pause and observe your neck and your jaw and your breath. Go back to your breathing, and we are going to do another one. This one is called Feel Your Body Breathing. And this is inviting you to feel the sensation of your breath actually moving in your body. And this can help you feel more regulated, and it can be like a hug for yourself. So take a moment, notice your breath. Notice, where do you feel your breath is moving? So that might be in your chest, might be your shoulders, might be down at the lower part of your rib cage. And also notice where your breath feels like it is not moving. Is there something that feels a little tight? Is there an area that feels a little constricted? So now I invite you to place one hand on your heart and the other on your bellies, just around your belly button, maybe a little bit lower. And now breathe and bring your awareness to the movement of your body, breathing slowly and deeply. So breathe in slowly and deeply. Feel the lungs and belly expanding with each inhale. Feel the softness of your body as you exhale. Let's take another breath and simply notice what's happening in your body as you do this. Okay. And an alternative, you can cross your arms and place your fingers under your armpits with your thumbs up in front of your armpits. And in this way, when you take your breath slow and deeply in, notice if you feel your ribs expanding on your inhale, and feel your breath moving on the exhale. Let's take another breath and really ride the wave of the air as it comes in. Notice your body's response and notice what it does as you breathe out. This is a way you can center yourself really into the depth of your body and your breath. And check in and notice, has anything changed in your posture or the sensations of your body by simply noticing the sensations of breathing. It's a good way to check in with yourself. So looking at the time, and we do have time to do one more. I can see a few people. Does that seem all right? All right, we'll do one more. This one, I like this one's kind of fun. Well, they're all kind of fun, I think. This one is yum and hum. And the idea is that our body really likes the sound of our own voice. It's a resonance and a melodic voice are powerful signals of comfort and ease. And that comes out of our understanding of the stress response, where oftentimes when we're starting to have a stress response or starting to feel angry, our vocal cords tighten up and our voice changes. And so we can signal to ourselves and we can signal to others with a relaxed voice that everything's okay. And melodic tones send signals of safety to our brains. And humming a favorite tune is an activity that can be very soothing. So here's what you do. You imagine the smell of food that you enjoy. So go ahead and kind of bring to mind an image of what is a food that you really like. And then repeat to yourself out loud, ideally. Start going yum, 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 like as though that food is sitting right in front of you. Maybe your mouth is even starting to water as you're imagining this. So hum, yum, and discover how your body likes humming. You can try a few different notes or hum a simple tune. Notice what feels soothing or comforting. Notice the expression on your face now. So let's do a little bit more of you could pick a single note, or you could let it drop. See if your body wants to move with that. Or So notice, how is your expression changed? What's happening in your body? Thank you for participating in that. I hope that at least one of those felt good to you. And I invite you to make a note of what you liked and to then practice it throughout each day. Sometimes people set alarms, others set a goal to practice at meal times or when they wake up or go to bed. Because self-regulation, being able to reconnect with ourselves and stay connected to ourselves during times of stress requires practicing the skills that help us do that. And so connecting with our body in whatever way feels appropriate or good to you is a way to regulate, and practicing that helps that become a stronger skill. So you can practice them when you're calm. That way you're building up muscle so that you can pull on it if you're feeling stressed, upset, or sad. And you can practice these anywhere. Have you heard the word practice enough? Right? Like self-regulation, taking care of ourselves, staying connected to ourselves are all about practice. And so I am going to stop there. Thank you so much for participating. And I do want to say I'm going to have to pop off in a couple minutes. I forgot to ask how long we were meeting, and I have an 8 o'clock client. So my apologies, but thank you for allowing me to be here.
No problem. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing. And I am going to open the floor. Rachel, you're welcome to jump off whenever you want now. But I'll open the floor for questions, and I'll start out. So almost certainly in the pandemic, children in our community have had more adverse childhood experiences. And so my question is how do we quantify these ACEs, and how has the Resilience Project adapted to the challenges presented by the pandemic?
Thanks, Sean. I think one of the things that people talk about in terms of quantifying ACEs is like the Healthy Youth Survey. And so that's something that's done systematically through schools. But I also think that there's a behavior health call that I oftentimes participate from Washington State. And I can send those resources out where we look at things like drug and alcohol use, suicide, ideation, and emergency room use, things like that, where we look at age, and it's broken down by age. So there's that sort of general information in terms of specifically how we are supporting people. You know, I think it's oftentimes easier with families to be able to provide support to the adult, right? So that whether that's the teacher, the parents, or people who intersect with the child, whether that's somebody from DCYF, like what used to be a caseworker, or somebody from the police office. So being able to show people, here are the signs and symptoms of a child being in distress. And then here are some of the ways that you can approach the child. And here's some of the ways that you can treat the child and how to refer them to services. Because we're not often talking about providing treatment, we're talking about providing care. And so it's a really big difference. People like Rachel and Peninsula Behavioral Health provide treatment. We provide helping support for the people who help people in need. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you. It looks like Kathy's got her her hand raised. Kathy, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, good morning from sunny San Diego, and thank you, Christy, Minnie, and Rachel. You've met all my asks and expectations. Thank you, Sean, for your question. That kind of is a good segue. What do you think has been your greatest impact on our community within the last year by building this consortium?
Christy, what do you think?
For me, the diverse connections that we've been able to make across the county surprisingly have strengthened, even though we're not able to see each other in person. And so for me to know that there's folks out in Forks doing this work and helping people when they need it, and in Sequim and in Port Angeles, is really rewarding.
I'd agree with that. I'd also say that we're being really responsive, so that there's a need where people are saying, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to manage this, whether that's for myself or the people in my sphere of life. And we're providing people with some tangible skills like Rachel's components, but then also some models within teams, families, organizations, and hopefully within our community to relieve some of the burdens.
I have a question, which is, have you seen any even remotely quantifiable increase in the number of people asking for assistance from your organization members? Because it's been my observation that our community, a large part of it has a real prejudice or feels stigmatized about asking for help at all. So are you seeing any change in that overall community personality trait?
Yeah, Laurel, we've definitely seen an increase in phone calls. You know, we would maybe get a phone call a week where people said, I need help and I don't know where to go. We were getting multiple phone calls a day. And that changed after some of the assistance went away. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the resources we're able to give them, they've already tried. And so that's been really challenging. The other thing I think to be aware of is that people, they don't want to go get food at the food bank because they are afraid that that's going to take away from someone else who needs it more than they do. But if they were to go get food at the food bank, they could use the funds that they do have for something else. And so changing that stigma, I think, is going to take a little bit longer, but that one is particularly difficult. They're willing to ask for rent assistance or energy assistance for power, but for some reason, food is different.
It's, I think it's partly, excuse me, a pride thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think on an organizational level that people are interested in thinking about building workforce resilience, right? So that people are saying, how do we retain people? How do we keep our staff feeling engaged and healthy and well to be able to do the work that they're passionate about? And so like our example with working with the school districts is thinking about the school districts coming and saying, how can we better do this? And then what we do is ask teachers and educators, you know, anyone who participated in that, in those trainings, how do you feel afterwards? You know, so like thinking about what are the embedded ways that organizations, businesses, agencies can do to develop policies and procedures and practices to help their employees.
Thank you.
Norm, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, and I know our time's running out, so you know, I don't need a long answer. But what you're describing, I know is being managed by a lot of different agencies that are either partners with United Way or just other agencies and programs within the county. To what degree and how do you coordinate, collaborate with them where maybe one of the other agencies takes the lead in a particular issue and you're more in a supporting role, or vice versa?
That's a really good question. We work on that all the time. And I think it comes back to those same things I put on the screen is creating an atmosphere of trust with the other organizations so that it's not us versus them, but it's that the pie can get larger and that there's room for all of us to have some. I think a good example I can give you of that was recently I've been working with what's being called the Housing Solutions Group with the county. And the Allview Motel was for sale and Serenity House was interested in purchasing it. But as a group, we talked and we agreed, including the leadership at Serenity House, that Peninsula Behavioral Health was actually a better organization to take the lead on that project. And so it wasn't about ego, it was about who could do the best job for the people who needed it. And we knew that PBH was going to be able to provide people there to care for those who were going to live there.
I just echo that for that shared leadership, and that I think it's wonderful operating out of United Way where that's modeled all of the time and is supported. And so it's a really exciting place to work.
I just want to say it's not fair because last time we did this presentation, Rachel went first, so I was way more relaxed. And this time it came at the end. So I apologize for being difficult with my words this morning.
Oh, don't worry about that. Does anybody else have anything? I know we're running over time here, but all right. Well, thank you, Christy. Thank you, Minnie. And I know Rachel's no longer on the call, but please extend our gratitude to her as well for joining us this morning. And thank you for everything you do for our community. It's just amazing. So keep up the good work and have a wonderful weekend. And I'm sure we'll be seeing both of you shortly. So
Thanks, Sean.
yep.